electoral.com.
What's up, guys? Good morning. Bucky Dillon here, host of the Bucky Dillon Morning Show, right here on 1360 KHNC, every weekday from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. And I am so blessed to be here with you. I hope you guys had a fantastic Easter. I got together with my family, which was great. And it was like the first time we've had a real family get together. Oh, man. Feels like it's been a year. But I know it's just been 2 weeks to slow the spread, right? Guys, with all the commotion going on right now about Georgia and so-called voter suppression, that's what I want to get into today. As you may have heard in the first hour, I touched a little bit on some of the lies about this bill being pushed and how unfortunate and corrupt it is that big woke companies are jumping in and hopping on board to condemn this bill under the false pretenses that it is somehow voter suppression. Why is it voter suppression? My goodness. These are the two big talking points. It requires voter ID, which obviously is a Jim Crow relic, right? Because somehow, apparently, Black people are too stupid to get IDs. They can't navigate the DMV. They never get on airplanes. They never get on airplanes. I guess they don't do anything else that requires an ID, like open a bank account or drive a vehicle, right? But this is the narrative that requiring an ID. I mean, it's interesting because doesn't it require an ID to get your vaccine? Doesn't it require? Even Delta Airlines came out and was like, we condemn this Georgia voting bill. Delta Airlines. Abundant hypocrisy. That's all I'm going to say. So, of course, Major League Baseball is going to boycott Atlanta for the All-Star game. Not that I care that much because, frankly, I don't pay attention to sports on TV. I have never paid attention to sports on TV. Zero interest whatsoever. What's up, guys? If you're hanging out in the live stream, leave a comment. Become part of the conversation. I'm going to talk all about how do we preserve our voice in our political system. And I'm not just going to talk about protecting ourselves from election fraud, which is far more prevalent than election voter suppression. And what are ways to fix our broken electoral system and the terrible two-party predicament we find ourselves in? All right, where do I start? For better or worse, nowhere in the Constitution does it say anything about political parties. And it seems apparent that our founding fathers would be appalled at the state of our current electoral process and some of the arguments that we are having right now. They would certainly find it detrimental to the republic if they could see what was going on today. Quite honestly, our founders would be shocked and appalled at the state of many of our union's institutions as they exist today, right? Shocked, appalled, horrified, rolling in their graves. So, John Adams wrote in a letter to Jonathan Jackson on October 2nd, 1780, quote, "There is nothing which I dread so much as a division of the Republic into two great parties, each arranged under its leader, and concerting measures in opposition to each other. This, in my humble apprehension, is to be dreaded as the greatest political evil allowed under our Constitution." So what are the origins and how have we developed into this party A, party B uh, electoral system narrative, and how has that driven our media coverage? How have we gotten here? Right? Donald Trump talked on and on and on about draining the swamp, which hey, fair enough, man. That's what we need to do. It is swampy out there. And that's why so many people are just not interested in politics. And that's actually a good thing. We actually need people focusing on becoming better at their jobs, not focusing on becoming more of a political activist, right? If we have a country of people who are all just honed in on political stuff all the time, arguing with each other, that's really not great for our social fabric, and it's really not great for our economy, because we actually need people who are focused on being great welders, great steel mill workers, great plumbers, great painters, right? These are the people that make everything function. Great electricians, great concrete workers. We need people focusing on being competent at their jobs and being in touch with their families. And politics, I don't think I need to tell you guys that politics can be a hurdle to that sometimes. But, right, drain the swamp. As much as he talked about draining the swamp, a lot of that rhetoric is undermined by the lack of talk about electoral reform. He did diminish a record-setting number of, economically crippling regulations, and more people were fired from the government than joined the force. So he did downsize government a little bit. He didn't cut spending, and he didn't talk about electoral reform, which I think is one of the most important things. You're listening to the Budget. Hang around.
Did the insurance company divorce your mountain house? Then call Affordable Tree Service North at 970-568-6898. We have over 50 years combined experience in fire mitigation. Let us climb, cut, trim, haul your worries away. We know brokers who specialize in mountain property, and we don't hire no snowflakes. Oh, God. Hey, you're not in this commercial. Again, call Affordable Tree Service at 970-568-6898. That's 568-6898.
Do you ever wake up and feel like there should be someone to run your errands? We want to get things done, but just don't have enough time. Many of us hire concierge services like dog walkers or food and grocery delivery. Why should your insurance needs be any different? At Badger Insurance Advisors, we act as your concierge for all things insurance, pairing quotes and prices, and recommending the best insurance for your needs. Call or text us today at 303-359-1799 or check us out at badgerinsuranceadvisors.com.
It is not because men have made laws that life, liberty, and property exist. On the contrary, it is because life, liberty, and property existed beforehand that men made laws in the first place. What then is law? It is the collective organization of the individual right to lawful defense and punishing injustice. Frederick Bastiat, The Law.
1360khnc.com has CBD products. Click on the shop button and get yours today.
Just go to 1360khnc.com/shop. The CBD on our website is 99% pure, all natural, no pesticides, non-GMO, is grown organically right here in Colorado, and is 100% THC free. Oh, and did you know ours is the lowest price CBD anywhere in Northern Colorado? For all your CBD needs, just log on to 1360khnc.com/shop.
Trump represented a shock to the system. He represented a wrecking ball. Sometimes he did hit the system and it was glorious. Sometimes he hit a baby and it was a tragedy. But you know, he recognized a real fighter who was going to go in there and, you know, pose an opportunity to wreck the establishment that was largely a democratic republic bought off, hijacked by government insiders, by lobbyists, by special interests, and just by the political game, right? People who are more interested in virtue signaling to their base than actually putting out policies that were good for our country. And this is what the bulk of the swamp is. It's the political slime. It's the corporate money, the corporate interest, the lobbyists. I mean, the swamp was left mostly untouched by his administration. I mean, he did cut regulations, and that's great. It made us a little more competitive, gave us a great economy. But that really didn't get to the heart of the swamp, because you can't drain the swamp without changing the way our elections work. Because as long as corporate interests are electing our political leaders and not the people themselves, well, you're just going to have a swamp. It doesn't matter how much you try to shovel out water. If you don't turn off the faucet, then it's all for naught. So, you know, there's bipartisan skepticism about the 2020 elections, and there's a lot of controversy going on about future elections today. This is all part of the problem. Working class Americans agree that lobbyists buy off our politicians. Democrats suggest that voter suppression is a primary problem, and Republicans suggest recklessly lenient laws make our elections significantly more susceptible to fraud, and fraud more difficult to identify post facto. This is absolutely true on both counts. We also need to recognize the tendency of all optical interests to try to maximize the ability of their interests to implement influence and minimalize opposing influence. Both parties engage in suppressionary tactics, whether it's attempts to abolish the Electoral College or gerrymandering their district lines, or making voting locations unreasonably difficult to access. That's human power struggles in the world, in the real world, and it's not going anywhere. So the key is to have the basic systems in place to diffuse concentrated power. And the Electoral College is an example of that. And this attempt to federalize our elections and take away states' powers to run their own elections is very dangerous. We need to stop concentrating more and more power in the furthest reaches of government instead of right here in our community. That's where our voice is most effective, is in the community. That's why I've been doing shows on local politics. That's why I'm making local politics the heart of the Roar of the Rockies newsletter. By the way, guys, if you're interested in subscribing, it's only $5 a month to receive a copy of the KHNC magazine in the mail. We need to establish reasonable election integrity laws like voter ID. It is not unreasonable, it is not racist to require an ID to vote. And securities that make our elections the least susceptible to fraud and interference. If we want to talk about election integrity, about protecting our democracy, it needs to be secure. It has to. That's a prerequisite, right? After all, our elections are meaningless if they can't be trusted. And practically speaking, it's better to have more secure elections than it is to have elections that even elections are a little more inconvenient, that you need to jump through a couple hoops. And as far as I'm concerned, in my personal opinion, most of these, so-called anti-suppressionary policies being discussed in the halls of Congress are much more oriented towards garnishing political power than they are about actually implementing policies for the greater good of the country. The idea of lowering the voting age is ridiculous, right? 16-year-olds, who most of which have never had a job, have never been responsible for themselves or anyone else. 16-year-olds who have never paid any taxes, right? If anything, I think we should raise the voting age, unless you're like a member of the military, right? Unless you join the military at 18, I don't think you have any right voting until you're like 25. Your frontal lobe isn't even developed. And it's a different situation because like during the founding times, people didn't live that long. 17, 18 years old, that was a fully responsible adult, but we cannot say that today's 18-year-olds are fully responsible adults. I've been spending a little bit of time with an 18-year-old, and I'm telling you, these are children we're talking about. Mass auto registration and requiring no form of ID. Those are terrible ideas. They're terrible ideas. And I think there should be some basic barriers to entry. And I don't mean like, race-based barriers to entry. I mean like you should have to show up in person, or you should have to give it a reason for your absentee ballot. I think that this mass mail-in voting is just inviting people who have no idea what the consequences of their votes are to jump in and fall victim to a lot of the political tactics that utilize on the surface ideas to get their point across, but are actually, people, they don't understand what it really means. Like some real world adult experience, some personal effort, and at the very least, some evidence that you are who you say you are and that you are a citizen, right? Voting is the right of all law-abiding Americans. It also has some serious ramifications, and it should require enough barriers to entry and personal effort to encourage a higher concentration of people who actually have life experience to grasp those ramifications and take it seriously. But again, that's just my personal opinion, right? These hyper-partisan solutions have made even bipartisan concerns impossible to address. Politicians make big promises on the stage, and then they retreat to their little dens where they call up massive corporate lobbies to fund them in exchange for political favors, right? We all know it. Obama and Romney's top 10 campaign contributors were literally the same 10 corporate interests, and it's almost certain that whoever wins the presidential election will not have large bipartisan confidence of the people, but will nevertheless enjoy the full approval of our financial elite. And for all of those who try to make the case that Biden has been so progressive, he made some gestures about equity. He made some gestures that he would abolish the for-profit prison system. By the way, you don't think that you don't think that government-run prisons aren't set up to reap some profit? Like the government isn't just a big business? It's so funny to me to hear people say big business is bad, therefore we should expand government. Okay, yeah, whatever. Anyways, the whole point in democracy is to grant the blessing of public confidence in our government and to assure that the government exists with the consent of the people. So, how did we get here? Uh, over the course of our country's history, there have been quite a number of political parties, although most have never gained any traction and most have been extremely short lived. Today, the three most notable minor parties are the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, and the Constitution Party. The Libertarian Party is by far the oldest, and of 2019, Libertarians held office in 106 minor positions in government. However, since 1852, we've elected without exception either a Republican or a Democrat to the presidential office. Before that, it was either a Democrat or a Whig. Before that, we had the Democrat Party and the National Republican Party. Before that, the Democratic Republicans versus the Federalists. George Washington is literally the only president to ever be elected without a party affiliation. The party system is seemingly an inevitable part of America's political design. Groups with like minded agendas will always congregate, and some arbitrary name will always be given to represent the said group. So, at some point, political platforms are inevitable in any large scale democratic process. But without some form of ranked voting, the very nature of democratic electoral processes manifest themselves eventually into two opposing political parties, which could be characterized by opposite worldviews described by Dr. Thomas Sowell as the constrained and the unconstrained vision. Left leaning psychologist Jonathan Haidt has actually done some very interesting work into the psychology of moral foundations and how that corresponds with political alignment. He calls it moral foundations theory. You might be surprised by his assessment. He was, and it gave him a significantly more tolerant respect from his counterparts. Essentially, he found that political liberals drastically emphasize the care harm foundation, and with additional support from the fairness, cheating, and liberty oppression foundations, and actually shirk other foundations like loyalty to in-group, respect for tradition, and purity. Conservatives, especially religious conservatives, utilize all six foundations in a more balanced way, including loyalty betrayal, authority subversion, and sanctity degradation. These manifest themselves in culture and policy in many examples, from the way they revere symbols like the flag more so than perhaps your average liberal, to support for the police, to their hesitance to adopt emerging cultural movements for the sake of adhering to their relative view of traditional values and customs. Dr. Haidt's final analysis is essentially we actually need both to strike a balance for the stability of the country, right? We need a balance between conservative stability and liberal infinite revolution. Those two ideas are opposed to each other, and we actually want to be stable enough that our society doesn't collapse, that we are not throwing away what works in pursuit of some liberal utopian dream of what could be, that only exists in your imagination. But you don't want to be so rigid that as we face changes and an infinite variety of problems throughout time, that we don't fall behind. But this tendency of multi-party systems to inevitably devolve into a duopoly is called Diverger's law. It basically claims that as one party gains an advantage, lesser parties will naturally diminish and converge as people will cast their vote for, quote, the lesser of two evils, which reinforces the cycle of diminishment. Furthermore, the two-party will devolve into ugly politics we see today as the acquisition of power becomes more and more dependent on demagoguery, victimhood grievance peddling, and opposition tactics. You're listening to the Bucky Jones
Be careful when you're dealing with a conspiracy theorist. You may end up with a whole lot more truth than you're used to handling. This has been a public service announcement from KHNC.
This is Sam Shook, Navy Vet and Medicare Specialist. I just want to thank the KHNC listeners for their support and trust in me as their Medicare specialist. If you are currently on Plan F, we are in a window of opportunity that can save you a lot of money towards your monthly premium. Please contact me at 970-413-4939. If you are getting into Medicare soon or are already enrolled and have questions, please call me at 970-413-4939. Again, thanks KHNC listeners.
Did the fire marshal take one look down your driveway and say, my guys aren't going down there? Or are there parts of it that just need a little more sun? Then call Affordable Tree at 970-568-6898. We can climb, cut, or trim your problems away, specializing in defensive space, upper and lower fire mitigation, forest health, plus we can save freshly hit beetle trees. So call us at 568-6898. That's 568-6898.
Hi, Brian Kilmeade here. Thanks so much for listening to me every weekday from 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. right here on KHNC, the roar of the Rockies. Hey, do you own a business in northern Colorado or surrounding areas? Are you looking to reach a conservative, loyal audience which could grow your business? Well, take my advice and contact my friends at KHNC. KHNC has a rapidly growing conservative family-based audience, and you can speak directly to them. Now, if you're looking for the type of customers or clients that believe in the principles that our great country was founded upon, just contact my friends at KHNC, the roar of the Rockies, and learn how you can be heard right on the air. Just call 970-587-5003 or email on the air at 1360khnc.com. That's 970-587-5003 or email on the air at 1360khnc.com. Take it from me, Brian Kilmeade. You can showcase your business to the folks that are helping to take our country back.
Reasons to own gold. Reason number 725.
The government goes out of its way to make you believe Social Security has an account with your name on it with money just for you. But the Supreme Court ruled that payments due under Social Security are not property rights and are not protected. Social Security is merely a tax, and the government is under no obligations to pay you anything. Call the Patriot Trading Group, 800-951-0592, or visit allamericangold.com.
My name is Dwayne Brothwell. Listen to my show, Mystery Babylon, every Sunday, 11 a.m. I will show you how the birth certificate image of the beast binds you to Babylon the bank for the debt money we use to buy and sell with. That's every Sunday, 11 a.m.
You're listening to The Bucky Dillon Show right here on 1360 KHNC. The Bucky Dillon Show is a Liberty Revolt Media production. Visit www.libertyrevoltmedia.com. Check us out on social media. It really does help strengthen our movement. Before we continue with protecting our elections and strategies to make the voice of the people the governing body in our elections, I want to introduce you guys to my friend John Malsby. He's hosting an event this Saturday, I believe, at his ranch in Wellington. John, how you doing today?
Good, Bucky. Great show as usual.
I'm so excited to talk to you. I freaking love you, man. How are you doing?
You're good. You're easy to like, Bucky. That's all I'll say. You're very easy to like.
So tell us about this event.
Okay. Well, this coming Saturday, April 10th, at my ranch up there, it's 4 miles east of Wellington. The address is 7557 Weld County Road 100. And it's exactly 4 miles east of Wellington on they call it the Nunn Road. Or if you're coming from the east, if you're at Nunn, it's exactly 7 miles west. But anyway, this Saturday we're going to host a Freedom of Choice Day event. We call it the Meat event, and it's based. I got the idea when the current person who calls himself the governor of Colorado said we couldn't eat meat on March 20th. Well, didn't set right with me because I raise cattle. I have a lot of friends that raise cattle, and I like to choose what I want to eat. I don't need someone telling me if I can or can't eat it. So I just thought, we're going to eat meat. So you can come at any time afternoon. We'll be set. We've got a professional barbecuer that's going to cook any hamburger or beef, or if you even got a soy burger, we'll cook it up for you over mesquite wood, and we'll have water there, but bring your own table service, and bring like a pound to 2 pounds of your own hamburger. We will start with some hamburger there. Meat America is a major sponsor of the meat event, and we'll start with about probably 75 pounds of hamburger, good quality, high natural beef that'll be cooked. And so when people arrive, they'll bring their hamburger and have it made into patties. And so when they get there, the meat will be cooked, but then they'll donate their hamburger. And so the more people that come, we'll have plenty of hamburger there. And if you want to bring, something more, if you want a steak, we'll cook that for you specially or whatever. Anyway, as I said, it's just Freedom of Choice Day, and we're going to have a lot of great speakers. Tom Tancredo has told me he's going to attend. Weld County Sheriff Steve Reams, hopefully Narmer County Sheriff Justin Smith, and of course a lot of the Weld County officials, and a really, really two special people. We're going to have Chuck Sylvester. He's 35 years, the general manager of the National Western Stock Show, and then retired chief of the Colorado State Patrol, Mark Trostel. And I'm trying to get U.S. House of Representatives a retired Bob Schaefer, possibly if his schedule will allow it. But we're going to have a lot of fun, Bucky. I'm going to have you, I might have a trap set lined up there on the stage for you to play the drums.
Yeah, you keep saying this. I'm pretty sure I told you that wasn't going to happen.
Well,
but people keep coming up to me and they're saying, John said you're doing a drum solo and then you're leading the drum circle. And I'm like,
right. Well, if we don't have a trap set, I've got a bunch of plastic 55-gallon drums and all the little smaller things from the cattle lick cubs, and we're going to have the kids come up and play any drum solo they want to on them. In fact, there may be 80 little kids up there drumming together. We'll see how that works. We are going to have a tug of war between the married men and the unmarried men. There'll be some basketball hoops set up. There's a little slide set for the kids, and we're going to dunk for apples. We're going to have a tub with a bunch of apples in it, and I think I'll put a lot of ice cubes in that just so it'll make it a refreshing experience.
How many people are you expecting?
Yeah.
How many people are you expecting?
Well, kind of unknown. It's just I've got room to park probably enough cars for 1,000 people. We'll park them out in the pasture, and then I'll have about a 3-acre area where we'll have the picnic. So, it could be a lot of people. So I really don't know how many to expect. I know down in Eaton, they had, I think, somewhere 2,000 to 2,500 people at their meat event, which was on March 20th. The reason I moved to April 10th is because we had about 5 feet of snow during that big snowstorm, and it's still a little bit muddy, but it's drying up pretty well. It'll be nice and dry by April 10th. So that's the deal.
Right on. And I look forward to giving a little speech. I don't want to give
Hey, we're
long of a
going to let
speech,
you,
but-
if you want to talk for 3 hours, you can do it.
Should I do the Bucky Dillon show live from
Exactly.
John's Ranch?
Why not? Why not? I mean, people, they want to see your face, Bucky. You're a human specimen. That's all I can say.
That's true.
You know,
It's true. A tall
people
glass of
want to
water.
see. I mean, if they've seen Charles Atlas, they just started to see what you look like.
My goodness, I know, and that's an understatement, John. People have told me I have a face for radio, but I also have a face for, many other things. Guys, that's going to be this Saturday. What time should people show up?
Well, I probably like right at noon. We'll have the barbecue hooked up, and we'll be cooking some hamburgers by noon. But I expect a lot of people will be coming 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. But at 3 o'clock, we're going to have a very, very, very special event. I won't share exactly what it is, but you need to be there to see this. It'll be one of the most unique things you've ever seen.
Oh, and I actually got a call from someone who does what's it called? The puppet show? Ventriloquist? Something
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I have a guy who does a ventriloquism who specifically expressed an interest in coming to your event and was hoping to get your permission.
Have him
to
give
set
me
up
a
table.
call.
I will.
Give him my phone number, and I'd love to talk to him.
All right, we're going into commercial. Thanks for calling, John. I love you, man.
Thank you, Bucky.
Have a great day. God bless you.
Okay, bye.
Do you ever wake up and feel like there should be someone to run your errands? We want to get things done, but just don't have enough time. Many of us hire concierge services like dog walkers or food and grocery delivery. Why should your insurance needs be any different? At Badger Insurance Advisors, we act as your concierge for all things insurance, pairing quotes and prices, and recommending the best insurance for your needs. Call or text us today at 303-359-1799 or check us out at badgerinsuranceadvisors.com.
Hi, this is Mike Morris, owner of Warriors Revolution Tactical in Longmont. At Warriors Revolution, we have the largest selection of tactical gear and ammo in northern Colorado. But what many people may not know is that we now sell firearms. And even despite the recent run on firearms and ammunition, we have plenty of product in the store, including ARs, AKs, Glocks, SIGs, HK, and more. And don't forget all the bulk ammunition at the best prices in town. Need to do a private firearms transfer? We can do that too. I am a veteran of the United States Marine Corps, and our team is made up of veterans and security experts, not a bunch of salesmen. Our team is trained and fought with much of the actual equipment we sell. And one thing you should know is that we support the foundations and principles this great country was founded upon. So if you need tactical gear, ammo, firearms, AR parts or upgrades, and even survival accessories, stop by and visit us on Ken Pratt Boulevard and Bowen Street in Longmont, or visit warriorsrevolution.com. That's warriorsrevolution.com.
Moving Day, a walk for Parkinson's, is happening this fall in your area. Moving Day from the Parkinson's Foundation is a fun and inspiring fundraising event that celebrates exercise and unites the community in the fight against Parkinson's disease. Events may look different this year to keep everyone safe, but we can't wait to come together for a good cause. Parkinson's doesn't stop, and neither will we. Learn more and register for an event in your area at movingdaywalk.org.
By the way, guys, we are looking for new advertisers here at the radio station. One thing we're doing to become more involved in our community and try to uplift local businesses is to actually invite them on our shows. So if you know someone who may be interested, who owns a business, a good business, an ethical business, who runs their business with integrity, a patriot, and you've had a great experience with them, we would love to meet them. So send us their contact information to Jason or myself. You can get a hold of me anytime. libertyrevoltmedia@gmail.com or Bucky Dillon at khnc.net. This is just one of the many things we're doing to try to become more involved in our community, and grow the radio station as well as support people. We really do care about the people in northern Colorado, and we want to invest in them and make their lives better. And I think that is the best thing we could do. So again, we want to help people get extra business opportunities by advertising in our magazine, by advertising on the radio. So contact them and send them my way. I would love to help. I was getting into our elections. I was getting into how do we fortify our elections. There's a lot of lies going on about what this Georgia bill does. This Georgia bill, it's interesting. It's actually, it expanded early voting. It made it so you didn't require an excuse to vote absentee. And that goes a little further than I would personally want to go. I think people should vote in person. I think there should be some basic barriers to entry, not prejudicially based, but just voting is a right, but it's also a privilege, and it should require some forethought and some personal effort to engage in. And we should have a higher concentration of people who actually understand the ramifications of their vote and have a little bit of real world experience and some conviction about it. So that's my opinion. They're trying to say that requiring a voter ID is racist. It is not racist. Give me a break, right? Especially ironic coming from Delta Airlines. But they're also trying to say that it is voter suppression, that you're not going to be able to drink water when you're in line. No, you can still bring water. Food and drink venues can still offer water. What they don't want is political activists like BLM and Biden and whatever right-wing groups, any of these political activist groups, using handing out water as an excuse to go interrogate people on how they're going to vote and pressure people who are in line to vote. So like a guy in a Biden shirt with a water bottle that says Biden on it, coming up to you and handing you a water bottle and being like, "You're voting for Biden, right? Yeah, vote for Biden," or whatever, right? It's not saying you can't drink water in line, and it's not like the election officials are going to be handing out water. They just don't want political activists going up and harassing people in line with the excuse that they're just handing out water. This is like when I went to Denver to film the dueling protests, and Antifa. Oh, it was openly Antifa. It was a group that called themselves Antifa, right? They were like, we're doing a canned soup drive for the homeless. What were they really doing? Collecting cans of soup that they were later throwing at the police. So, but anyways, I talked about the divergence law, and essentially what that is in any multi-party electoral process, you're going to end up with it coming down to just two major parties because of the, as one gains steam, the smaller parties converge in opposition. So ranked choice voting, this is something I'm a huge advocate of. Two-party systems are necessarily winner take all, as in whoever gets the most votes wins. And this is something I talked about recently when I was interviewing city council candidate for Fort Collins District 3, Gavin Kaczynski, who, by the way, I really wish I lived in District 3. I'm like 1 mile away because I would totally support him, but I look forward to trying to support him in any way that I can throughout his future of engagement in local politics. Ranked choice voting. Well, one of the challenges he leveraged against Gavin, he leveraged against his campaign opposition in District 3 was that her intention was to get into office and then pursue her own personal agenda and perhaps that of the small base that got elected. For those who don't realize, only about 6,000 people vote in District 3 election, and there's about 20,000 people. And so you win by getting 3,000 votes. And his opinion is if you get voted into office, you should actually make some trade-offs with your, like, concede some of your own opinions in an attempt to represent the broadest possible swath of your constituency, not just the 3,000 people who voted for you, but the entire population of the area you represent. And I think that's very noble. And I think ranked choice voting would bring out more people like Gavin, because in order to win, you wouldn't just be trying to appeal to your base. You would be trying to appeal to the broadest possible base. Shouldn't we hope that our politicians, regardless of party, would try to appeal to the middle ground where their entire constituency stands, instead of appealing to just a slim majority or even a minority activist base? Right? I think so. But in today's areas, making concessions to constituents that didn't vote for you is political suicide in the primaries. There's this saying that you run to the fringes during the primaries and then you moderate during the general. Terrible, right? Ranked choice voting. I'll explain what that is in a moment. Final segment coming up. You're listening to the Bob David Show right here on 1360 KHNC. Guys, have a wonderful day.
Hi, this is Bob Enyart with Colorado Right to Life. Please work to abolish abortion, but reject all so-called pro-life efforts to regulate child killing. Even on the surface, regulations undermine the very concept of the right to life, and they convince even our own judges, tragically, that the fetus they consent to killing must not be a real child. See AmericanRTL.org/regulations for more.
Hi, folks. I'm James Morgan, a realtor with Grisham and Associates, LLC. I know it must seem like there's a million realtors out there making all kinds of promises. Want to hear my big marketing promise? I promise honest and fair dealings with all those I do business with. That may sound old-fashioned, and it is not very catchy, but it is true. I am your Colorado real estate specialist. Farm, land, mountain cabins, or urban dwellings. When you work with my team, we'll get the right property for you and be upfront and honest with you every step of the way. Over the years, my clients have told me just that fact alone separates us from others in the industry. If you are considering buying or selling real estate, call me, James Morgan, at 720-203-0731 or visit my website at coloradoproperties.online. No catchy slogan, just a client-first, honest real estate experience. Hit it, girls.
Keep listening to the American Freedom Network.
Have you always wanted to be on the radio? Do you have strong opinions or ideas that you think should be heard? Why not host your own radio show right here on the Roar of the Rockies? You'll be on the same station as Brian Kilmeade, Michael Savage, and Alex Jones. You can brand yourself as an expert in your industry and grow your business. Imagine telling your potential clients you have your own radio show. That gives you instant credibility. For more information, call us at 970-587-5003.
Ranked choice voting allows you to finally express your fealty to the anti-HOA political party without worrying that you might as well use your ballot as TP, right? Because what ranked choice voting allows you to do is rank order your political preferences, right? Say you want to vote for the Libertarian first, the Conservative second, and whatever corporate cut out as representing the liberals as your last choice, or not put them on the list at all, preferably, you could do so. And this would force our politicians to moderate a little bit, because they would have to appeal to more people, right? How many times have you seen two candidates that just toe the party line entirely? And that's almost the only way to win. With ranked choice voting, you're no longer beholden by shame. Voters could push for the candidates they actually wanted and know that whoever wins in the end will have achieved at least more than 50% of the vote. Right now, we have a situation where sometimes our presidents will go their entire presidency without ever achieving 47% approval ratings. We actually have ranked choice voting in many states, 4 states, and Maine is looking to take it a step further and use ranked choice voting for their entire general election. Another idea is democracy dollars. I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about it before, but essentially, if every American gave $100 to a political candidate, there's no amount of lobbyist money that could wash it out, because right now only 5% of the population donates to political campaigns. And how many would contribute if it didn't come out of pocket? Well, certainly not 100%. Americans are lazy. But if even 20% were to utilize, democracy dollars, it would wash out lobbyist money 4-1. Because if there's one thing that's true about Washington, because it is a business, it's that money talks. What democracy dollars is essentially it's a tax deductible, use it or lose it voucher that you could that you could give to a political candidate or campaign, and it would be redeemed by that campaign via the government. So these are just a couple ideas of how we could restructure our elections for more security and for better representation of the people, so that our government does truly exist with the consent of the governed. Guys, this has been the Bucky Dillon Show. I hope you enjoyed it. Contact me, libertyrevoltmedia@gmail.com. Let me know your thoughts, your criticisms, your suggestions, and your praises. And visit 1360khnc.com/shop and check out our CBD products. It helps me, it helps you, it helps the radio station. All around a good deal. You can't beat our prices. 1360khnc.com/shop. Have a blessed day, guys.
$1360 KHNC is proud to announce our partnership with My Kind CBD, a local Colorado-based company that uses no pesticides, no herbicides, completely organic, no heavy metals. All their products are CAO certified.